Sunny Atlanta, Georgia welcomes the Saturday Night Thunder Tour back to the mile-and-a-half circuit the way it was to celebrate racing at this mile-and-a-half venue. For some of these drivers, they've never been to this track before in this league, many of which have been here a time or two before, and it's time to welcome back Atlanta without the gimmicks for our fourth race of 2025. A new crop of drivers face off against the old version of this circuit. We're here in Hampton, Georgia, and as we said before, this is the Atlanta Motor Speedway in its configuration from 1999 to 2021. Tonight, we're working back with the legacy circuit, qualifying already on the move, and as we've seen all season long, great attendance. 25 drivers plus have registered for tonight's festivities. Currently, Matthew White is the man on the pole position. As we take a look downstairs, drivers are getting their move on, one lap each for everyone on the circuit, and it's great to return live on FTN on this lovely Saturday night. I'll be your host for tonight's broadcast. I'm David Croyt, commentating and producing, and coverage tonight, FTN Broadcasting, provided by the folks at iRacing. As we get things going, qualifying so far, 9 drivers have set a time. Top time on the order going to go to Matthew White, as we mentioned, just about a tenth of a second up on the rest of the field. Vinny Tigner now gets on his way. Tigner is going to have a shot to jump up into P6 with that most recent lap. Looking at the lap speeds in the most recent times by, 172.6 is the top average lap speed. Vinny right there, 171.6. For the number 6 of Daniel Silla, that's for 12th place, a 168 mile an hour lap. And a little bit further behind, Cameron Chandler getting on the way. Looks like Chandler not able to set a valid time, but this rookie has been rapid so far this season. Watch out for Cameron once again to jump up to the top of the board. Currently, it looks like Chandler is going to be at the back of the timing screen and won't have a chance to jump up until the race. Still quite a few drivers taking a lap. Jordan Kuntz on his out lap. Matthew Weeks is on his quick lap. He's already on his 1 of 1 and is going through turns 1 and 2 right now. And just as we say that, coming out of turns 3 and 4, the number 11, Weeks at the line. It's going to be a 31.556, and that lap time is good for a P2. Weeks jumps up to second. Matthew White remains on the pole. Peyton Lindsay, Landon Benson also getting things going. Lindsay coming back in the number 97. Looks like for Peyton, that first lap will be good for 12th place currently. Devontae Drain in a very first run for this number 10 Tide Ride gets up to 14th in a rookie effort. Cole Wilson on the track, a strong Daytona, looking to come back into form. Welcome back to number 22. Wilson in an all-white Chevrolet Camaro tonight, and it looks completely different from the Monster Energy 25 he showed up with to start. Wilson came across the line but had internet troubles. It doesn't look like that lap is going to count as Cameron Chandler comes to pit road. Jordan Kuntz on the way now, watching Kuntz go for his one and only 183 miles an hour into turns 1 and 2, takes it up to the high side and then looks for some more power down the back straight. Riding aboard now with the driver, the number 99. This is Jordan Kuntz, all fourth gear and all power coming out of turn number 4. Kuntz is going to put the pedal to the metal and at 181 miles an hour crosses the start-finish line with a lap time good for first. Pole position, Jordan Kuntz, 1/1000th of a second. That's the top time on the board and an average lap speed of 172.68. Jordan Kuntz, the two-time former champion, grabs the pole position. Wonderful job for Jordan Kuntz getting the top time over Matthew White, and a commendable effort for White, his best ever qualifying run, only beaten by the final driver to take a time. Now we have a few moments in between our racing session and qualifying. Let's get to know that starting grid. You know the pole sitter well, you might not know the rest of the field. We've only just begun. It's about time we go racing Atlanta Motor Speedway. But first, here's your starting order from top to bottom. Two-time former champion as your pole sitter. Last time he was in Atlanta, he faced championship heartbreak. Tonight, he's just looking for a first win on the year. That's Jordan Coots with a 31.479 qualifying time, 1,000th of a second quicker than Matthew White. As it stands, White's going to find himself with a career best qualifying run. A lot of pressure on his back to succeed from this point. Matthew Weeks starts in third, and it'll be Connor Asbell who's going to be P4. Fifth place on the order, Carter Casey. Casey very strong with his qualifying runs this season. It is already another top five. He started on the pole position in Daytona. Then you'll have sixth place, Matthew Rivera, 31.609 for Rivera, a rookie this season, off to a very strong start. Jackson Van Pelt has been one of the best drivers historically in Atlanta. He comes back tonight starting in seventh, looking for his first career win. And Vinny Tigner, the defending champion, last time he was here, he wasn't in the title fight. He saw Coots and Weeks go at it. Now he's the defending champ. He'll be starting in eighth. Kenneth Gorell is going to be in the 57 P9 to start tonight. And Henry Kaloff coming back, citing some championship point concerns. He needs a strong run tonight. He will start in 10th. He's got multiple teammates on the track with him. 11th place will be Gino Marrow, and Mac Grab will be in 12th, with Curtis Saber in 13th, Peyton Lindsay in 14th, and Landon Benson. Then he's 15th. 16th place then is going to be Chris Brooks, and you'll have Devontae Drain in 17th. 18th is Dan Silla. Mike Hill will be 19th, and Ethan Burrell, one of the strongest drivers ending last year, starts in 20th. Final drivers go as follows with Braden Hunziker, Cameron Chandler. You got the number 22 of Cole Wilson, Michael Deitch, James Bowden, Tyler Seaver, and Elijah Hoy. 14 rows, 27 drivers. It's a packed house in Atlanta. No doubt we're looking for action. That is your starting grid for the Peach City 180. Jordan Coots up to the top of the board. And rest assured, as we mentioned, Jordan Coots tonight, he needs this victory. We're coming off a period of dominance for the Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsport team. None of their drivers are in this race tonight. Neither Thurston nor River Page nor Alexander Balderas, but so far they have gone 2 for 3 on the season off the back of 2 consecutive wins from the 96 in James Thurston. So now we're looking for another driver to have a chance at winning. It looks like we're going to have a new race winner this season regardless. Wilkerson won at Daytona. Thurston, he has won the last 2 events. All eyes have to be on those top 5 drivers who have been running recently very well. Let's talk about them. I want to first put the spotlight on Cameron Chandler, who has been the top rookie of the season so far. Without a doubt, he is a driver to look out for the next coming races. He started strong with a very low-key race in Daytona, top 5 in Auto Club. He was able to come away in 5th behind Thurston, Kuntz, Rick Spencer-Walt, and Sean Rowe, who are very well commended drivers in their own right, and Cameron Chandler proves to be just about as quick as them. And the week before, Cameron came in 2nd, so he's already got himself a P2, 2 top 5s on the season, and without a doubt has been one of the fastest drivers all season long. If there's any rookie who's looking to go out for the championship this season, it looks like Cameron Chandler will be the one. The 88 has been very strong to this point, and execution, he's had it in spades. He just hasn't been able to get by Thurston yet, and Thurston's not here tonight, so perchance the 88 is the man to look out for. And of course, a few other rookies there too. Braden Hunziker, he's looked very fast in practice and qualifying sessions. Hasn't quite put it together for a complete race yet, but there's a lot of potential for this 00 Haas team. I think you got to look at them as maybe future contenders later this season. Developments have been made each and every week, and maybe now we'll see Hunziker coming to his own. With a chance for a first-time race winner, Connor Asbell accepts the call as your fastest driver in this session. Coming away with a fast time of 31.44, it's Connor Asbell at the top of the board. 15,000 adrift is Cameron Chandler. And Gino Marrow, 3rd. Top 3 here in last practice. So the track empties once again, and Atlanta Motor Speedway is ready to come alive. The mile-and-a-half circuit has been here for more than 6 decades, but this configuration you see tonight only existed for about 15, give or take. Actually, more like 22. Specifically, starting in 1999, this modern mile-and-a-half configuration for Atlanta was put into place and was recently repaved in favor of a miniature superspeedway to end 2021. Former home of the NASCAR Cup Series Championship. Overall track conditions are mild, a little bit on the warm side as you can see, with track temp coming in at 113 degrees Fahrenheit and an ambient temperature of 68 degrees. Partly cloudy skies, but the sun is shining through to kick off the day. As you can tell now, humidity also going to be relatively low, coming in at 20%. Drivers should be concerning themselves less about the weather and more about the lap length of the race tonight. 120 laps. There is an opportunity to go for a one pit stop strategy if everyone plays nice. That's never a guarantee. Last time we came here to Atlanta, admittedly, things got dicey. We had a green-white checkered finish to end the season. This is the 2024 A Championship run. It came down to Jordan Kuntz and Matthew Weeks. Kuntz took a 2-stop strategy and a 2-tire strategy to end the day. Matthew Weeks waited. He put on 4 tires to end the run, and he came back on Kuntz in only 2 laps. To win his first ever championship. So far it's his only, but there's a very real chance that this season makes a change. Drivers are lined up for qualifying. It's already concluded. Devontae Drain is the only driver missing, so currently we have 26 on the starting grid. Time to get things going with the iRacing official pace car, Matthew White, next to Jordan Kuntz, and we're a lap away already from saying hello to the green flag. Looking further back tonight, Cameron Chandler, a notable who will be starting behind both Hunsicker and Cameron Chandler. As a matter of fact, they'll begin their race 21st and 22nd respectively. Not the best place to be for either driver. Both of them were not able to get a qualifying time in, and so they're going to have to crawl through the field as the night goes on. Devontae Drain has joined us as well. He's the number 10, brand new driver coming out of Michigan. He's got the Tide Ride, that Chevrolet Camaro, and looks pretty good so far. Let's see what he does with it. Expectations rather high for Jordan Kuntz, still winless after 4 races, and for Jordan standards, that's not a good way to begin things. As of the last few races, well, Jordan Kuntz, second place in Auto Club, did not attempt the race prior. Rockingham, 4th place in Daytona. So he's made so far 2 top 5s out of the season, 1 podium finish, and a worst finish overall of 4th. Only problem for him so far is he missed that 1 race in between, but he's been about as good as he's always been in the races he's been present. Now, to take it up just 1 more notch, win his first race of the season, and lock himself in for a deep championship run. The ticket to success is only a checkered flag away. Matthew White knows this, and coming off the back of his best ever qualifying run, don't expect him to back down early as 2 former champions lie on the inside groove. iRacing official pace car ducks low. Jordan Kuntz grabs the gear, will move us through the Geico restart zone to kick things off. Already trouble. Drivers in the wall and drivers are scrambling. Wilson, Kaloff, and others. Yellow flags out, and the green flag follows it. Devontae Drain, the hood lifts. Oh, we got massive trouble to kick off the night. And our race hardly begins, but the troubles have already started. Caution flies. We're taking an instant replay. Drain can't quite see what's going on the track there, but he's still limping through. And it begins even before Devontae is involved here, so we'll take it back just a little bit further. This starts at the front of the field in the 2nd row. Take a look at the number 72 in Connor Asbell. Asbell has a major problem getting going. That's where this all begins. Take one look back. Asbell Much like Carter Casey has before in other front row appearances, he slammed the wall. It's eerily reminiscent to Casey's Las Vegas incident from last year. Then Henry Kaloff ends up sliding. Kaloff gets into Cole Wilson. Wilson gets in the Mac grab. Vinny Tigner goes around. It looks like Peyton Lindsay barely gets away, but that's the bad news because Devontae Drain runs into the back of Cole Wilson, and everyone scrambles. Chris Brooks gets damage around the way. Brooks gets hit again by Mac Grab, almost gets hit one more time, and it looks like Tyler Sevier also going to spin. Bad news, Jordan Kuntz still getting away. Vinny Tigner there too. Tricky situation to start this race. Kenneth Gorell, you see there too. Daniel Silla, the rookie. Mayhem to kick off the night, and that's only your first lap, so caution's out. And we're going to be waiting to get things going once again. Looks like about 8 drivers collected in that one at the minimum. That's going to be Vinny Tigner, Dan Silla, Mac Rab, Tyler Sevier, Kenneth Gorell, Chris Brooks, Devontae Drain, and Connor Asbell, who have all headed down to pit road after their first major hits on the night. Everyone has one fast repair available, so they do have a second chance, and they'll get back on the track, hopefully, but Connor Asbell already seems to be out of the car. Mike Hill slowed down and stalled right by pit entry. He'll get back with the field as we speak. Outside groove sometimes seeing troubles when we go to tracks like Atlanta, and that's something where the track temperature might have played a role. Warm tires are slippery, cold tires on a warm track, not a good mixture, and you're starting to see why there. Just a small problem collecting a multitude of drivers. Nearly a quarter of the field involved in just one hit, and it's official. Connor Asbell already out. Devontae Drain 1 lap down, so is Mac Grab. Looks like Dan Silla's back on the way. Kenneth Gorell. There's also Ethan Burrell and Vinny Tigner. They've gotten themselves going again. Defending champ on pit road, 2-time former champion on the top. It's Jordan Kuntz leading Matthew White, and then Matthew Weeks. Carter Casey's going to get away from another front row incident, and we've said a lot about Carter Casey. He's been a great driver in this series for many years, but qualifying in that first lap have really been a struggle point. But looks like this season so far, he hasn't done a half-bad job. He gets away from another wreck, and now he's inside the top 5, firmly running in 4th. Premium JB7 in the chat room, thank you for stopping by. Just getting started. If you enjoy, of course, this goes out to all viewers. Let us know who your favorite driver is. We'll be shouting drivers out all night long. Just hit subscribe to the channel live on FTN. Got a lot of great guys in the field here, and currently Jordan Kuntz has led all 4 of your opening laps. Jackson Van Pelt, Gino Marrow, Curtis Sabarin, and just behind, Peyton Lindsay and Landon Benson. Very similar top 10 what we saw before, just an unfortunate outcome for Tigner and Connor Asbell, both of which should be able to get away and get back on the track. We'll catch up to them as soon as they're available. Mike Hill is squeezing up on the high side. He collected himself, got himself back going. Right now, Vinny Tigner looks to be on the lead lap. Connor Asbell, the only retiree of the race, looks like he backs himself out after that very early wreck. So as Vinny gets up to the front of the field, Jordan and Matthew White are ready to do battle once again. It'll be the 99 down low, the 22 up top. And it's time for Atlanta Motor Speedway to come alive with green flag racing this time by, hoping not to have another very quick yellow flag. Kuntz is still on the bottom, and he's going to lead us back to green. Kuntz with a massive jump. It's a car length and a half to get things going in Atlanta. The 99 takes it to turns 1 and 2, and we're green in Hampton. difference maker there as we get past that first lap. We are good to go. A little bit of shuffling back and forth, but it's growing pains. The entire field coming to Atlanta for the very first time. And for a lot of these guys, as we've mentioned before, this could be their very first time going racing at an intermediate in SNT. And that's something we love to see. Drivers getting that first chance, something they haven't done before, and most of which have done a pretty good job of handling the conditions, some of which are a little bit slippery, back and forth. We're expecting drivers to battle with them all throughout the night. Currently, it looks like Jordan Kuntz is going to relinquish the lead. Gino Marrow is the man now up in front. Gino, he's been in this position before as a leader, still looking for that first career win. He's one of the many drivers who we have said for countless races, strong enough to do it. Just needs to find a way. He's broken out to an early lead so far, and now you're starting to wonder, do tire strategies already come into play? I think they will. Currently, looks like maybe Vinny Signer and the like who have to come back. They're going to be a little bit more aggressive. Someone like Jordan Kuntz, who's up and in front, he can rely on being a little bit more conservative. He'll let the drivers around him race him and try to have stronger tire 30 to 40 laps from now. That helps out in the end goal of making it to the end of the race. Our first caution should not impact strategy all too much, but man, they are quite tight coming through these corners here. 2 by 2. For about 6 or 7 rows. We never see this in Atlanta, except right now. 3 wide, Peyton Lindsay get a shooter up to the top side. Cameron Chandler doing the same thing with Cole Wilson and Braden Hunsicker. This is really risky racing and something we're not quite used to in SNT. Usually in Atlanta, drivers are able to fan out and find the lane of their own preference. A lot of these drivers have found where they want to be, but notably they're running at a top speed of 180 miles an hour plus, and they're not giving each other any room. That's the impressive part here. These drivers will not back off unless absolutely needed. But when you're 3 wide, I think you got to be a little bit more careful than you usually are, although we go back double file again. Watch on board right now with Henry Caloff. He's a driver in the thick of the battle, and see what's going on from his perspective, because certainly now it is a hornet's nest. One wrong move could be the death of many drivers' races. Henry right now, he has a car to his left and a car to his right. It's pretty tricky to see that from inside the cockpit, but he is boxed in. Toe-to-toe with the best of them right now. Henry's going to be inside 7th here. He needs a top 10 run for a chance to stay top 15 in points. 4 wide in the back of the field. Just getting away from that one. It looks like the number 5 of Matthew Rivera, and quickly they fan out to single file. A lot of these drivers in the back just riding the draft train. They don't want to be all too aggressive. Cameron Chandler up on the high side of Gino Marrow here. Watch out for that rookie. We've talked a lot about how strong he's been so far this season. He's come away with 3 consecutive top 10s and 2 back-to-back top 5s. He's already back up in 2nd and coming from the tail of the field. Again, he started in 22nd, was as low as 24th. Now up to P2, and he's looking to take that race lead under green. Cameron Chandler with the high side, coming across the stripe, will not be able to get Gino Marrow on this lap. He's right there. 1 lap from now could be the difference as Cameron is sailing on that top side. And Chandler's confidence for being a rookie so far is unbelievable. Not a lot of times you see drivers come in and immediately kick off their career strong. Chandler has done that. He's very similar if you look at the Integrity Racing League, who are on FTN on Monday and Tuesday nights. He's a lot like what Michael Araya has done there. He's the Octane Series champion on a rookie campaign with more than 8 victories on the season as a brand new driver. And it took just 1 good run in Daytona to show he had that, and then from there he went off. But Cameron Chandler gets in the wall. Now he's 3 wide and he's up in the wall, making another mistake. A little bit aggressive early. It's going to cost him. That's going to give Henry Caloff a podium spot. And now Chandler's going to be put up into the wall as both Jackson Van Pelt and the number 8 of Carter Casey get by. How about Cole Wilson now up into 4th place? And Wilson looking real good. Getting himself up inside the top 5. Wilson was amazing at Daytona, but so far that's been his standout performance. However, looks like tonight maybe a little bit more of that early showing we saw from him as it comes down low on Henry Kaloff. He is looking to get inside the podium. Ethan Burrell, more of the same here. Burrell's a former race winner, multiple podiums back-to-back to end the year in 2024. Burrell's an underrated guy. When it comes to his performances, he's raced among the best of them before, including Matthew Weeks. He and Matthew Weeks, they've raced each other for years, and they've come together to the SNT League, and they've done great. Weeks, of course, is the champion. Burrell is a part-time driver, but even in those part-time ventures, he's been one of the fastest drivers consistently, and there are very few drivers who can match him on his best day. Right now, Gino Merrill's got to look behind and wonder, what do I do? Because this number 37 is coming in fast, and he's looking for the race lead. Speaking of fast, very good recovery for Cameron Chandler. He looks under Henry Kaloff right now, and it's clear that even though he made a pretty early mistake, he's not going to be afraid to rough up some doors. He goes side by side now with a 63, and he keeps Henry Kaloff honest. This is for third place. It's the second time that Chandler's been in the podium today. Just 5 laps ago, he was in second. Fell back all the way to about 7th. Now he's back in P3, and he's really putting that outside line to use, Ethan Burrell, but the inside is all Cameron Chandler's. Barrow at the line was beaten. Burrell's your new race leader, and Cameron Chandler's looking to make it a 3-horse race rather soon. Ethan, right there, he got up almost exactly by the wall. The same thing that Cameron Chandler did, so this is the risky part now. Drivers are trying to use every inch of the track, and we've seen with the new Xfinity package on iRacing, that's the way that's rewarded. If you want to race well, you want to race with every inch in mind. Spare nothing of the track, use all you've got, either go all the way to the bottom or all the way in the top. That gets you the most gains in distance or in speed. I mean, look at how close Burrell is there, and that looked to be a casual run up top. He's leaving maybe 2 or 3 inches just beside the wall so he doesn't hit. We've seen drivers before in pursuit of victory hit the wall and make very, very close calls, big mistakes. Jim Thurston, he's done it before. The driver, the number 37, well, Ethan Burrell, he's seen Thurston race for the win hard. Thurston in Las Vegas last year got up in the wall with about 25 laps to go. He was bailed out by a green-white checkered. Nevertheless, Burrell right now looks to be calm and collected on the high side and hasn't made that same mistake. Merrill's going to be second. Henry Kaloff's going to be third. Fourth place is Jackson Van Pelt. Cameron Chandler once again falls just a little bit further behind. He's still in 5th place and looks to be comfortable inside that spot. Double file has been real common tonight so far, and Jordan Kuntz is stuck in the thick of it. Finds himself right now running in a 10th spot. He's been inside the top 10 all day, but this is about the lowest he's been. Dropping back a little bit more, but we said previous this could be an intentional strategy call. Very rarely is Jordan Kuntz actually outpaced. He just lets you think he is being outpaced. So watch for the next 10 to 15 laps. Watch Kuntz. He might fall back a little bit more, but then for the next 20 or 30, he might just be the next driver on the back bumper of someone like Chandler or Carter Casey or anyone ahead of him. Jordan Kuntz is the type of driver who's learned very well to sit back and wait for things to happen. He's not a very impulsive driver. Sometimes that gets the better of him. He might not be the quickest to move into a situation if it's a good one, but he knows when a bad situation is coming up, and that's kept him out of trouble so many times, and it's made him a championship favorite for several years in a row. And currently, he's doing the same thing here, just keeping his back to the wall, keeping himself behind these other drivers, and getting ready to roll when tire fatigue really comes into play. Cameron Chandler has been the exact opposite. He's been racing the most aggressive of anyone to make up every spot he can. And credit where credit is due for someone like Cameron Chandler. He has real confidence in that car. He's been taking it all the way around the track. He's taken it from the back of the field up, and he's done so because he knows he has the stuff in him and the stuff under him. So far, Chandler's been able to make up more than 15 positions in a 25-lap race, and he made most of them up within the first 10 laps. Chandler's confident, that's for certain, but right now, Ethan Burrell rightfully has that confidence as he leads Gino Marrow. Marrow and Burrell, both of which have come together. They're leading this race far and away, and you got the fast white car, Jackson Van Pelt, there in third. Van Pelt, historically, we mentioned he's been strong in Atlanta. His breakout race in SNT competition came about a year and a half ago at this point. It was Atlanta Motor Speedway. It was the final year of the Truck Series. It was season 5 of that venture. And Van Pelt, he was able to lead some 35 laps and come away with a top 5 finish, the first of his career, and that's the race that put Jackson on the map. Ever since then, he's been a reliable contender inside the top 10, no matter where we go, and I think tonight it will be a fitting full circle moment to bring Jackson Van Pelt back to where it all began and to, at long last, win. That's no guarantee as Gino Marrow now looks low for the race lead, and he's got himself looking deep, while Ethan Burrell lets him go on the high side. Matthew Weeks is going to duck low on Carter Casey just at the same moment. Let's take a look a little bit further back. On the outskirts of the top 10, 8th machine, Carter Casey. He's not in 8th place, but he's getting real close. Braden Hunsicker now putting some pressure on. Casey has proven one of the best short track racers in this field, but his intermediate prowess has often been questioned. A lot of the times he'll have that good qualifying speed, but the race pace is something that's hard to develop. Carter Casey's racing career in SNT is interesting because he took about a season and a half off to become full-time race control. 5 flags in 2024. He came back for his first ever return run, and he was able to finish in 3rd place. He came away with a podium finish. He is one of the stronger drivers who oftentimes is overshadowed, but just because he took a few races off doesn't mean he's done for. In fact, he's only gotten better ever since, and that's why you're seeing him up there battling for P7. Matthew White just got in the wall again, starting to see some of that right side damage really pronounce itself on the number 2. White, starting in 2nd, had an amazing qualifying run, first and foremost. The best of his career. Backing it up is really hard. And do we say that? Of course, we can't say it lightly. This is SNT. Some of the best drivers on the platform come to this league many a week. And right now, it's exactly what Matthew is facing. Amazing when it comes to qualifying, of course, only 1,000th away from the pole position. And he's ahead of the pole sitter right now. Matter of fact, Jordan Kuntz is running in 12th. But even still, I think right now, Jordan Kuntz is falling back intentionally. But for a driver like Matthew White, it's not intentional. He finds himself right now in a position where he has to keep himself up in front, and he's not all too well the best at making things happen in an intentional sense. If he wanted to fall back, you might not know it. We haven't seen him all too much up front to really tell when he does that, and I don't think right now that's the case. Last 4 laps, relative to your race leader, though, he has gotten quicker, and maybe that's just because the top 2 have been distracting each other so long. Gino Marrow has stayed ahead of Ethan Burrell, but this is going to change here. The fast white car is coming up. Welcome into the picture, Jackson Van Pelt. We mentioned him before. We've mentioned him many a time. It looks like the Lyco 07 is only moments away from taking 2nd place. Here comes the 07 looking to the bottom, and he's got a real shot now to make things work. And we mentioned this paint scheme before. One of my personal favorites in the entire series, Johnny Benson, Cup Series driver for many a season. Not to mention, he was able to get the job done as a Truck Series champion in 2008. A little bit of a different circumstance, of course, here as you race the Xfinity-style cars. Benson never able to get a victory in the Cup Series in Atlanta. His one and only came in 2004 in Rockingham, a track we already came and went to. But it looks like Jackson Van Pelt now is looking to rewrite the script as he's fully ahead of 2nd place Burrell. If only that momentum prevails. But Burrell again uses the high side, and it looks like Ethan's got a little bit of help. Here comes Matthew Weeks. How about a 4-car race for the top of the pylon? The number 11 goes up top, and it looks like now Matthew Weeks is going to put himself in the big picture. Jackson Van Pelt, aggressive to start. He'll have to lay off again. All this infighting right behind your race leader has given so much more to Matthew Weeks. He's got himself a chance to get by 2 drivers, but I think it's given the most benefit to Gino Marrow, as all those other drivers work at each other side by side. Gino pulled several tenths of a second up on the rest of the field. Notice the last 4 laps for Ethan Burrell. He was the closest previously, and now he's fallen significantly further back. He was within 15/100ths of a second 4 laps ago. When Jackson Van Pelt came by, the gap went from 18/100ths to 46. And when, of course, Matthew Weeks went through, the gap went from 46 to 61/100ths to now 2/3 of a second. That is the impact of competition. The more drivers around you, the more time you lose, and it is a huge detriment to have drivers go side by side with you for a long period of time. And that's the best thing helping Gino Marrow right now, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Matthew Weeks is clearly quicker now. Not to mention, Jordan Kuntz has gone from 12th place up to 7th here. As we mentioned, he seemed to have a plan, and he's now abiding by it. One driver is going into pit road. It looks like it's the number 5 of Matthew Rivera, and that it is. Rivera going in for his first pit stop of the night. An interesting call. It looks like Matthew's going for a 2 pit stop strategy under green. What's going to happen right now is that Matthew goes in for his lap 40 cycle, and then at about lap 80, he'll come into pit road once again. That would be his final of the day. Matthew just made it in. He gets off the track briefly. This will be his first service of the day, while most drivers will wait a little longer. Now you'll see Cameron Chandler, and Chandler is doing a very similar thing. He just went down a pit road. He's back on the lead lap as he gets himself around. It's quite the shock, though, to see a lot of drivers taking 2 stop. Even Cameron Chandler, a driver who's been very strong throughout the opening portion of the race, deciding to go down and in. Usually, with 120 laps on display, 60-60 is the way to go. But it doesn't look like that's the case tonight. Gino Marrow is going to drop in. Tires are more important than fuel, and Gino drops in all by himself. Peyton Lindsay is going to follow in the number 97. Just beyond the both of them, it looks like it'll be Tyler Sevier in the number 77. So, a flurry of drivers making it to pit road, and the signal is clear. 2-stop strategy might be the winning method, but there's still a chance to experiment and go up to a full 60. The big advantage of going for a 1-stop strategy would be losing less time. I don't think that's going to be in the playbook tonight, though. Look at that. Matthew Weeks and Ethan Burrell going in together. This is your first green flag pit stop cycle of the day. Jordan Kuntz is your new race leader. Kuntz has himself leading for the first time since he took the pole position. This is where Jordan Kuntz and his strategy game becomes all the well known. He's previously done this before. I think the most important example, if you turn back the page to Chicagoland in the beginning of 2023, he held off on older tire longer against the rest of the field. He goes a little bit longer than most other drivers now, 39 laps, so he'll come across the line for lap 40, and that is the magic number. If we're seeing a 2-stop strategy, divide the race by 3. 123 ways over is 40, so Kuntz hits the magic number clearly, and that's an advantage for him because he has to worry less now about the second stint and the third stint. He can be more aggressive, he can put more power into this next run, and he can pass more drivers. It's pretty simple. More time on track, the less time you spend worrying, the more fuel, the more power, the more speed, the more position. There's a lot of the game of adding, a lot of more. Less time on pit road is a huge thing in itself, and Henry Kaloff gets away with a fast pit stop. The quickest so far on the day. It looks to be a 38.7 by the Cole Wilson crew. Wilson very fast to get himself up to net 4th place right now. Cameron Chandler is going to be the overall race leader, though, and it looks like Cameron's a little bit of a pioneer. He went into pit road early, and it's paid off. He finds himself now leading the way, but this is also something that could cost him. He's on a 10-lap older stint than someone like Matthew Weeks. Weeks went in just about 2 laps ago, and if you check the left side of your screen, you'll see the pit stop count. Most drivers have gone in for at least one, some of which have gone in for two. If you look at the stint time, more is worse in most cases. So someone like Jordan Kuntz, who's in 14th right now, his tires are the best on the racetrack because he's only been on them for one lap, which means they're less burnt up, which means they can go a little bit quicker, they can stick to the track, and when they're warmed up, they're just about perfect for 5 or 10 laps. That's the good thing. That's what you want as a driver. Meanwhile, if you have more time on the tire, you might have track position just because you stayed out longer, but you're going to be slower overall. Cameron Chandler's going to face that, and he's going to be brought back to earth because that's always the case. No matter how a driver slices in, if you're on the tire for longer, you're going to get slower. Unless you weren't pushing to the fullest beforehand. That's the only possible exception. Chandler right now is on a 12-lap stint. Gino Marrow should be his immediate concern. Marrow's on a 5-lap run right now, and he is in 4th place, far ahead of Kuntz or Tigner or Weeks or Burrell or anyone else. Gino is 3.8 seconds away, and based on the last 4 laps, well, take a look at the numbers right here. He's gone from 6 seconds away to 5 seconds away to now 3.8 seconds away. At the line, it was 3.99 anyway. He's gaining more than a second per lap. In about 4 laps' time, we are expecting Gino Marrow to be your new race winner, or rather, leader. He'll be the first one to get in front of Carmen Chandler. Take a ride on board right now with the driver of the 71, and look at how much quicker he is as he's going to make a pass on Matthew White. Watching as that number 71 goes to the inside, and as easy as 1, 2, 3, a pass made already into P2. Gino Marrow, Matthew White, and Braden Hunsicker put to rest, and only one driver stands in the way. That's going to be Carmen Chandler. Again, the prediction is that by lap 50, Gino Marrow will be your race leader, but that doesn't mean he's going to be the favorite to win. He's also on a little bit of an older run compared to some of his competitors behind him. It just means for now he has the limelight, and currently he's running it pretty well. Talking about former Atlanta experience, we've been to this track quite a few times before, so let's talk a little bit about the history. This is, much like the NASCAR Cup Series, the former championship venue. It was the championship venue for the 2023 A Championship Tour. That was a great title race. It came down to the very final run of the season, and that, of course, came through for Vinny Tigner. He was one of the drivers watching. He won the next season, but he had to watch as Matthew Weeks and Jordan Kuntz went for the championship. Tire strategy was the big deal then. Matthew Weeks decided to play it safe. Jordan Kuntz went for a more risky call, and as a result, end of the day, Matthew Weeks came away with the championship. We went to Atlanta twice last year. It was River Page who won it in May, and then Jacob Wilkerson who won it in August. 2 summer races. We did it as the first championship and one of the first races back, so the championship event, it was Atlanta, where River Page won in May, and then when we returned, Jacob Wilkerson collected his first career victory. He got the job done in Atlanta later that year. Neither of which are in this race today, so we are expecting a new race winner at this venue relative to 2024. Now looking low, Braden Hunsicker. That's a driver who's a lapper currently getting his time back. A lot of guys who are lapped down right now. We have more than 25 still on the track. Elijah Hoy's running in P20. That right there is the number 9. That's going to be the Landon Benson machine. Landon currently going to be 25th as it stands, 3 laps down. Unfortunately, not the best of races so far for Landon. Caught up in the earlier shenanigans. It looks like only 2 drivers have retired, though. Devontae Drain is still having some troubles, and it looks like the suspension is torn in on that number 10. He's going to have to come down to pit road for an emergency pit stop. And we're going to check out what happened here. Devontae Drain, bad news for the number 10. Previously, his hood got popped up, and now the suspension is destroyed. he has very little left in him if this race continues to go in this direction. And he's been limping around for quite a while like this, it looks like. Taking a look back, here's just before the incident occurred. Devontae Drain, it's his second wreck of the night, and he was involved with the leaders, it looks like, as Henry Kaloff and company go by. Drain gets in the wall, he comes back up, gets into the wall again, and a minor smack becomes so much more horrible for the 10 as he slides down to the inside of the track. Luckily, nobody else is involved. Drain, though, has no control of that car. We're lucky the caution didn't fly. Devontae is going to have to pull it in. I believe that's his night. He smacked the wall, grazed it just once, and it looks like the suspension blew up from there. The toe link looked broken. He wasn't able to steer, and he's lucky to get it down to the apron where nothing else happens. Oh, Cameron Chandler there. Real close to a lapper. He just gets by. Gino Mera's been able to outlast our prediction as we say that. Lap 52, he is still on top here, and Cameron Chandler has not been able to get back up to him just yet. Cameron is about a half a second away, and it looks like maybe by halfway we see a change in the race. So, 60 laps in out of 120. That'll be halfway for this second stint. It'll be halfway for the race overall. We're going to see lap 80 to 85 as the final pit cycle of the day. That looks to be the expectation, and that's when everyone's going to come in for that last chance to go to pit road, get their tires and fuel, and do it all over again. But Atlanta adds that heat factor, which we talked about before. Right now, track temperature, luckily for the drivers, it is lowered. It was 137 degrees before. Now, it's only 117. It's a partly cloudy day. The sun has not been shining down fully, so drivers are getting a little bit more control in their cars once again. But still, pretty warm. Tires are burning up. Some close battles happening pretty far behind here, and one of them involves Vinny Tigner. Matt Grab is going to head to the inside right now on Tigner. That's a move for P10. Meanwhile, Jordan Kuntz is now going to be battling with both Matthew White and Carter Casey. Sliding up to the top of the track. Kuntz is looking like a rocket ship right now. Remember, he's on some of the youngest tires on the track, so he can pass by nearly anyone, and he won't have to think twice about it. Jordan Kuntz, pole sitter, looking for some perhaps old championship redemption. He and Matthew Weeks fought for 2 consecutive titles against each other. Both of them, Jordan Kuntz lost, but the last one ended in flames for 2 of our best drivers. With less than 10 laps to go in last year's event in Las Vegas to end the year, those 2 involved in an infield collision, which took both of their chances for a championship out the window. The eventual winner of that race, anyway, well, it was James Thurston. The eventual champion was Vinny Tigner. Kuntz has not been able to put together a championship win overall since the end of 2023, which is unbelievable considering last year he was the most statistically valuable driver of anyone. He was able to come away with 9 victories across the year and showed that he took no step backward in race performance compared to the year prior. Just the only thing that happened that was a little bit different was he wasn't able to win when it counted. Atlanta happened to be one of those races that counted big time. Braden Hunsicker right now in 5th. Cole Wilson going to be in 6th. Great job for these young rookies getting out on the track. The Illinois native and Hunsicker. And just behind, Cole Wilson, the number 22, based out of Pennsylvania. Not a home race for either of which, but like right now, one of the favorites of every track is coming up for him. 99, Jordan Kuntz makes the move for 6th place. He is still on the way up. At the front of the field, Cameron Chandler passed by Matthew Weeks. That's the battle for 2nd, and right now the number 11 is advantageous in this one. Good stuff there for the number 11. And Matthew Weeks, of course, knows exactly what he's doing when he gets up to the front of these fields, never taking a moment to wait. He's all about the opportunity. He is all about speed. And again, he is on a younger set of tire than all the drivers around him here. In the top 5, take a look at the left side of your screen once again. Stint time, lower is better. He and Ethan Burrell on the same stint time. They have the advantage in tire. Cameron Chandler's on a 28-lap-old run, so he's going to be expecting to fade back. Matthew Weeks and Gino Marrow are almost evenly matched for each other, but that one lap makes a difference. And as we go through the later portions of each stint, that one lap begins to mean more and more and more and even more until, of course, we head down to pit road again and reset. Michael Deitch, lapper, is going to be involved here, so let's see what Deitch does. He's racing for the Kalof Deitch Racing crew, multi-car operation this season. Right now, the 17 has not budged. He'll stay on the high side of the track. Black and white number 17 for Deitch, a brand new paint scheme, as the 71 passes with no problem. Coming to the line for Gino Marrow, it's halftime here in Atlanta. 61 laps out of 120, one caution so far today. Most drivers have kept a real good head about themselves, only a few issues in between. Devontae Drain, unfortunately, is out of this race, but the number 7 of Elijah Hoy goes sliding on the apron. He wasn't involved with anyone, we saw him down there, but Hoy gets in some self-inflicted trouble. No yellows out, and take a look at this once again. It'll be, unfortunately, Elijah Hoy running in 22nd here, who just slides. Might have caught the grass, and as you can see, on his own. Pulling back the tape, he went up into the slightly banked portion of pit exit and drifted off. Hoy not having the best of days. The Kalof Deitch Racing crew, multiple drivers outside the top 20. Right now, Michael Deitch, of course, running pretty far back. He's more than a lap down. And Elijah Hoy currently finding himself in P22. So room for improvement for that team. They're running 17th, 19th, and lastly, 24th. 3 drivers, all of which have not been able to get up there inside the top 15 at the halfway mark. Hoy's back on the way in the Underdog Racing Podcast number 7, but troublesome times so far for a team that has strength in numbers as another driver comes in. That's Braden Hunsicker deciding to make his move, and just like that, pit road active at lap number 60. That's an interesting call because Braden, again, wasn't on all too old of a run, but he decides to come down regardless. Nevertheless, Gino Marrow, Matthew Weeks, Ethan Burrell, and 4th place Jordan Kuntz are the drivers that lead the day so far. Kuntz has gotten himself all the way back up into 4th, and Carter Casey is now P5. Tell you this much, if you've enjoyed the action live on FTN tonight, as always, we'd like to thank iRacing Motorsport Simulations. Holiday sales just passed on iRacing, but if you want to start your sim racing career today, there's no better place to go. iRacing Motorsport Simulations has been leading the sim racing market for more than 16 years now. And if you'd like to get your membership starter pack with more than 20 free cars and tracks, there's no better place to go today than iRacing to kick off your sim racing career and race with the best in the business, and even get a chance to race with us at FTN. Check out iRacing.com for more information. We'll be right back after a brief message from our friends at iRacing.com. We'll return right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Coming back now with 54 laps to go, and Carter Casey comes in after a 30-lap stint. Interesting, because it looks like a new trend is afoot. Instead of 40-lap runs, we're starting to see 30 become the norm. Gino Marrow just got out in the way, which means that it's going to be a 3-stop strategy, something we've almost never seen here in Atlanta. And yet drivers are going for it. So now lap number 70 has become sort of a magic number. Ethan Burrell gains the race lead as a result. Things are looking a little bit different, and all of a sudden, the number 37 is on top. Cameron Chandler is going to be looking to get by him once again as a lap machine here, and we've never seen 30 laps as the way to go here in Atlanta, but attitudes have definitely shifted. 69 laps in out of 120, a nice way to take the lead, at least briefly, for Burrell, but I wonder now how he's going to take it. He's been put in a pretty tricky spot. Very rarely do we see races turn out just like this, and now Ethan's got a choice. Does he go down and in this time by? Does he try to lead someone like Jordan Kuntz in? Look at how much quicker, though, Gino Marrow is. He is stuck to that track, and that's the difference between old and new tire. If you take a look on board with Marrow here, he's like a jet, and he's going to come up on Ethan Burrell in this lap. Burrell was a blip on the radar just 15 seconds ago. Marrow is already going for the pass into turns 3 and 4. And he made it. Just like that. That's the importance of a new tire set compared to old. Yet for right now, Ethan Burrell is going to hold on. 51 laps to go. Comes down to 50. Right now, it's Burrell, Kuntz, and Peyton Lindsay, the 1, 2, 3 order. And it looks like Peyton's going to decide to concede and head down and in just like that. New tires for Gino Marrow, putting him back out and in front. Cameron Chandler's going to be running no longer net second, going to be almost 1 lap down. The question really becomes, though, what's the right call from here? Seeing a lot of division in terms of strategy, and we'll bring you back the intervals from driver to driver. Only 8 are on the lead lap right now, and it's clear there's a lot of indecision as to what the right thing is to do. Tyler Sevier gets up to P3, Henry Kalov getting a brief shot here in 4th, and with drivers going down for an only 30-lap stint, lap 100 all of a sudden becomes sort of a magic lap. And that's when we'll really see who's got what in store. Ethan Burrell, number 37, with 49 laps to go, leads the way, and no longer does he have anyone else around him. The battle behind consists of some notables. Vinny Tigner right here going to be lonely, but he's got Jackson Van Pelt fighting with Chris Brooks. Brooks was involved in that very first incident, but he's come back well, and now it looks like Van Pelt heads to pit road. Jackson, one of the many, who was at last decided to go in for a second pit stop under green, and for some, a third pit stop overall. Braden Hunsicker is going to be finding himself up inside the top 10. Braden's currently running in 6th. Coming up closely on Gino Marrow, too. We'll see if he's faster or if Gino is still on the way up. But currently, Cameron Chandler is going to have to look back and see Gino Marrow is moving through at light speed. 48 laps to go, and Marrow has just continued to blaze through drivers. If this is the way the rest of the race stands, Gino would be by far the winner. We have a troublesome incident down on pit road. Who was it? It looks like someone at the back of the field heads into pit road and has trouble. Incident was not with Devontae Drain, of course. He's far and out. But everyone on track right now looks to have gotten away. But we just had a circumstance on pit road. Tyler Sevier might have seen it. We're going to turn back the clock 30 seconds. Someone drifts into pit road, and the 77 just caught wind of it. So here's the incident on rewind. It was the 77, Tyler Sevier, skating in and luckily not catching anyone. Watch what happens to Tyler here. Just gets loose. No contact. He gets lucky there. Very lucky. No damage. He'll keep on going. But it could have been bad news for the 77, who will only lose a little bit of time and hangs on to his race car all the same. Back to your live racing. Michael Deitch heads in this time through. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, your leader is now Henry Kaloff. Kaloff Deitch Racing is a team that had big expectations going into the season, and no doubt that they have more expectations to follow up these early races with more success. It's a strong operation. They've got great drivers like Aaron Schugel or Corey Lyles, guys who we haven't seen full-time in this series, but we've seen them before on Thursday nights in IORA or series of that nature. Now, the question becomes, why hasn't that success translated here? Kaloff now comes down and in. He'll have to relinquish the race lead. Gino Maro's now on top. And for all the efforts that Kaloff has put together in successfully expanding that team into what a powerhouse it's become, SNT has become some sort of Achilles heel, quite frankly. Hasn't been able to get through with top 5 or top 10 runs on a consistent basis. Even Kaloff, who's a former race winner in this series, he really hasn't looked his best, at least in SNT, for quite a while. He's coming back just to make sure he keeps himself in the top 10 picture, but a night like this, currently anyway, is far from his expectations, and it looks like he's just been off the wall. Unfortunately, not in the good sense, as he finds himself back to pit road again. Kaloff is coming back out, as a matter of fact, and currently he's going to be outside of the top 10 and off the lead lap, running in 16th, while his teammates are currently 20th place in Deitch and 22nd in Elijah Hoy, respectively. Jordan Kuntz is going to be leading a train of about 7 strong here. And for the 99 anyway, it looks like he's taken this pole position and a good points day to a solid run, but it hasn't been anything too spectacular. Maybe there's something more, maybe a yellow flag would save him, or something that changes up the attitude of this race, but Kuntz awfully conservative as per usual, and he hasn't gotten a caution to sort of bail him out and reset his thinking. That's one of the problems sometimes Jordan Kuntz just happens to have. He plays these races very well for a top 5, but winning takes a little bit of that risk-taking that comes with risky business. 3 wide, Carter Casey in the middle of Burrell, Cole Wilson, and Vinny Tigner, and Burrell gets away, passing them all. Ethan Burrell breaks from the Hornet's nest and does so rapidly. Good to see there for the 37. Meanwhile, Carter Casey, Cole Wilson, and of course that number 12, Tigner, keep each other honest. This is the back half of the top 10. Mac Grab also in this one. Mac has been rather quiet. He's been with us now for about a year. And for a driver who we don't speak of all too often, Mac has pace. That's no doubt. Anytime you see the 53 on the track, you think he's got a top 10 in him. And honestly, he's consistent. It's not like he does not deliver his results. He's just very quiet when he delivers his results. That's been the same case this season. That's been the same case in the last few races. And really, the expectations haven't changed all too much for the number 53. Just do the job, do it well, and get out of trouble. Mac has been able to succeed and exceed in those categories for more than a year as an SNT driver. I'll tell you this much, he's doing the exact same tonight. He'll duck down low now on Vinny Tigner, looking to make a move to the inside, just can't quite grab it, and he'll wait once again for his turn. Meanwhile, up in front, battle for the race lead has gotten a little bit tighter. Last 4 laps, it's gone from 1.35 seconds. The gap between Weeks and Gino Maro now to 0.75. So the lead has halved overall in the past about 10 laps. And it means right now that Weeks is on pace to get the race lead in the next 10 laps. If those rates continue, we estimate based on the previous laps. We can't predict the future. We can only estimate based on the past here. But Weeks is reliably consistent in situations like this. When he's in the spot, about a half second off the leader, almost never does he find himself falling off before he gets there. He might not be to the back bumper yet. Give him 10 laps. We're going to see something happen here. But even if Matthew Weeks gets up there, doesn't mean he's going to pass. Gino Maro has been exceptional tonight in what could be the best race of his career. Gino is eyeing what could be win number 1. 44 laps led on the day of 84, so he has led more than half. If he leads 16 more laps overall, he'll have led the most on the day by default. He's been that good, and he's kept himself around the best drivers. He's kept himself in front of them, as a matter of fact. He's got some good lap support. Henry Kaloff and a few others he's just passed by. Now Kaloff decides to go up on the high side on him. But Gino's played the track well. He knows the environment he's in, and it looks like he's turned out, as we've usually seen from him, strong in a mile and a half once more. But is strong good enough to win this race? We got to check out his defense here. That's where it becomes a do-or-die moment. Does he have the defense now to handle Matthew Weeks, who's coming up quickly? 71's got to look back at it. Last, he's got to acknowledge this job is far from done. He's got to play defense if he wants any chance at the win. And to clarify, when we say defense, you don't have to knock the driver out the way when it comes to racing close or racing side by side. You have to be respectful, of course. But you really have to understand this could be the last lap you lead if you let that lead go. 35 laps remaining is not a long time. We've made it past 86, and we've done 86 laps in maybe 43 minutes, just to give you that understanding. So 34 laps to go might sound like a lot of time, but every minute matters, and every lap goes by even quicker than a minute here. So if you give up that lead, it's hard to get it back, especially in the last lap, of course, but 34 laps to go is not a lot of time either. And Matthew Weeks knows it. The number 11 sends it deep for the race lead. Number 11 inside. Number 71 of Gino Marrow takes the middle. He'll continue defending on that very strong groove, hoping his tires don't give. He wins round one, but the battles have only just begun. Ethan Burrell lays low, 3.3 seconds back on this fight. Looks like the rest of the field's getting far out of touch now, so whatever happens goes between the two who lead this show. The number 11, who's been here before, has never won a race here, but he won his last championship at this venue. What a sweet surprise it would be for Matthew Weeks to come back to Atlanta and do it all over again. He's still right behind Gino Marrow, someone who's never won an SNT before, and Weeks gets up in the wall. It doesn't slow him all too much, but he does take some minor damage. Marrow gives Matthew Weeks the high side. He gives him all he's got there, and he's going to use it. Now Matthew's going to come barreling down the back straightaway, and he'll take turns 3 and 4 right there with them. Tread lightly. That's got to be the warning for Matthew Weeks here. Gino is not playing around. He's giving room, but he's not giving good room. Sending a driver up to the top side now is certainly not going to help him. Look at Gino Marrow giving just enough to drive, but not enough to pass. He'll be blocking with that quarter panel all throughout the back straightaway. Elijah Hoy gets out of the way. Matthew Weeks here is now toe-to-toe with the 71, and Gino knows it. That is strong defensive driving first and foremost, because Gino Marrow now understands exactly where Matthew Weeks wants to go, and he's adapting based on what he sees. He's looked high, so you know what Gino does? Looks just about as high, doesn't look higher, doesn't do anything silly. He just gives enough room to make it look possible, but he makes it real hard, and that's been the key to success. Another great lap there for both of them. Matthew Weeks, he is designed to play nice, doesn't want to do anything absurd. He will let these laps come as they are. 30 laps to go. Based on the magic numbers we've been seeing, a pit cycle is still mandatory from here. This is not the race for the win, even if it looks close. Matthew Weeks heads down to the bottom. He won't tread lightly this time. Instead of going topside, he'll force himself down to the paint. Side by side, Marrow still the advantage with all that momentum coming through the higher banks of turn 2. Gino's kept himself in the lead now for nearly 50 laps. Matthew Weeks, though, cares about none of that. He's looking to lead the checkered flag. 29 to go now, and Matthew Weeks decides to concede. He'll drop down a pit road. He'll take a penalty. Matthew Weeks misses pit road. What a bitter moment for the number 11. Matthew Weeks misses pit road. Take a look at this one more time as the number 11 bails fast and he concedes. But the problem is he doesn't make it inside of the yellow cone. Penalty. Matthew Weeks' race-winning chances, if not over, are slim to none. Sitting and wondering what he could do, as just behind him, Gino Marrow, your race leader, is taking his final pit stop of the night. The dramatics of Atlanta Motor Speedway never disappoint, and Marrow now has a chance to win this race outright. As he passes by his former race-winning contender, Weeks can only sit there and watch. Jordan Kuntz leads the way now with 27 laps to go. Weeks gets on the way. Kuntz is still driving ahead. He's 8.5 up on Carter Casey. Now more. Jordan Kuntz, if he's got any tricks left up under his sleeve, he's got to show them real fast. He'll have younger tire now than Gino Marrow when he gets back on the way. It looks like this might be the lap that he comes down and in. And if Jordan Kuntz does what Jordan Kuntz does, then he's going to be leading or close by the time we get at it again. Kuntz comes down and in as your race leader with 26 laps to go. He'll wiggle slightly, but he will not give in. Now, Kuntz has a shot. Meanwhile, watch as Gino Marrow here tries to go full circle in this lap and get himself up and away. It comes down now what looks like Kuntz versus Marrow. Gino's going to have, of course, warmed up tire, but he won't have younger tire. He'll have the disadvantage in strategy, which no driver wants at the end. But so far, Gino and Kuntz have been almost irrelevant to each other the entire night. Kuntz right now going to be sitting on pit road, and if he can't get going now, he'll have no chance. He'll roll, but he'll come out behind. Marrow's up and ahead, and clearly so. A convincing advantage for the number 71. Gino Marrow gets up to the race lead. "24 laps to go. Net race leader is indeed Gino Marrow. Take a look at the stints here. It looks like nobody else besides Marrow and Burrell has a shot for the victory. Cameron Chandler too far behind. Braden Hunsicker more of the same. And with 24 laps left here, Peyton Lindsay is going to be the holdout, the only holdout. Going to be up there at the top of the pylon. Rest of the field is fully cycled through. Peyton Lindsay, as it stands, a little bit of a tricky circumstance here. It's really not going to come out as much of an advantage for Peyton anyway. But as it stands, Lindsay is leading, getting some laps led and getting the name known. Peyton's had an up and down night from starting in 14th to as high as first. Strong race for Peyton in terms of getting some laps led and getting some time in the sun. And a great number 97 paint scheme, one that's eye-catching in the Kubota. Orange and black. Lindsay crosses the line for 22 laps remaining. As always, live on FTN, we'd like to thank our partners and associates at TrackCams22.com for bringing sim racing's best cameras to you. Visit TrackCams22.com for additional information, and we're going to get loud and crank things up here in Atlanta. You're watching the Peach City 180, and before the checkered flag falls, let's get live and loud in Hampton, Georgia, cranking it up with 22 laps to go. Currently, the laps are winding down with only 17 remaining. It's going to be Peyton Lindsay, the only holdout still on the track. Shout out, of course, again to Peyton Lindsay, but it's a surprise to see that this number 97 is still kicking. Again, we don't expect Peyton to be your race winner at the end of night. Not to say it's been a bad run by any means, but Peyton right now is outmatched when it comes to strategy. 33 laps since the last time Peyton went down to pit road, and that's longer than almost anyone's gone all throughout the night. Which means now that if there's any hope left for the 97, it comes by going down to pit road. And it looks like now Peyton is slowing down and will concede. Lindsay's going to be out of the way, and it means that Gino Marrow, now with 15 laps remaining, is your race leader. At long last, the 71 is back on top. Chimera Creative Group has been with us since the beginning of 2024, a full-time competitor last season, top 5 in the championship standings. Cautions out, yellow flag for the first time in more than 100 laps. It's an incident, and it's at the back of the field. Matt Grab looks to have some damage, and the yellow flag is out. Can you believe it? With 15 laps to go, what looked like a surefire win for the Marrow crew is now in contention. We're getting a read on what happened in that last incident, by the way. That's what we're looking for right now. Looks like, among others, maybe Matt Grab catching a piece of the pie. And looking around, we saw some back-end damage for this number 53 team. Max sliding deep on Elijah Hoy. A few small incidents we've seen today haven't triggered the yellow flag yet, so we'd be shocked if this was the one. Elijah Hoy got up in the wall ever so slightly. It looks like Elijah's still going. 3 laps down right now as the yellow flag flew. So taking it overhead, the issue isn't visible on our cameras there. And still a little bit of the mystery that we don't have a solution to. Mike Hill was getting right by at the time of incident. Smoke was billowing. And interesting to see that whoever it was involved pulled off the racetrack almost immediately as it happened. Getting confirmation, we believe Matthew White might be the man involved in this one. And we're trying to see whether or not that was the case. Still looks like a no. Caution is out. And as it flies, you got a slight incident, drivers drifting around, bringing us to the caution. Looking back one more time to give you official confirmation on this one, as drivers were heading into turns 1 and 2 at the time of the wreck. You know, Marrow and company, Braden Hunsicker was going through. And by the time the yellow flag called, Michael Deitch was involved, and Matthew Weeks was as well. From bad to worse, Matthew Weeks, can you believe it, was involved in another wreck. Now we have a beat on it. Take a look. Matthew Weeks, who was involved with that pit road penalty, Deitch comes down the track and hits him. Cole Wilson, although he slides, we believe that white car got away. And with a flair for the dramatic, take a look just behind Matthew Weeks, as Cole Wilson is not the white machine there, but Weeks just barely got tagged and got sent up the circuit. In this freeze frame moment, you'll see who's involved. And just behind, Kenneth Gorell slides to safety. Gorell, Deitch, Matthew Weeks. And we drew a bead on it there. The number 57 is the lucky man in this equation. Take a look from the back end of Kenneth Gorell's number 57 Chevrolet Camaro. He wasn't hit. He's about the luckiest driver on the field right there because he drifted right in and out of its reach. Meanwhile, the field is getting set to roll once again. It'll be Gino Marrow on the high side and Peyton Lindsay, who is continuing this daredevil of a run to stay on track with more than 35 laps of wear. This is unbelievable. It's unforeseen, and Peyton Lindsay has a chance to win, and perhaps one of the most unexpected victories we've seen in SNT history. Lindsay's going to get things going. Peyton is in control. Green flag comes out. Next time by with 10 laps to go. We've seen many a time before drivers like Peyton Lindsay go for similar strategies. Almost always it's failed. But if there's any chance to make a difference, it's tonight and now with 10 laps to go. And Peyton seems rather confident. What looked to be a brief stint as the race leader has turned into 11 laps so far, and a few of which coming under caution. The chance is there for Peyton to make this underdog run a complete success, but actualizing that is easier said than done. 10 laps and just about 15 miles separate Peyton Lindsay from race victory or anyone else from the checkered flag. We'll head green with Lindsay and Gino Marrow in control as we run out of turns 3 and 4. Hopefully the tires don't squeal, because that could send us close to overtime territory. Peyton Lindsay gets things going and actually gets the perfect jump, a full car length up on Marrow and Ethan Burrell. Peyton decides to block high, and so the journey begins. Lindsay not afraid to stay on that backside, but it won't be enough as Gino Marrow already slides down low. With this caution, watch out for the number 99, Jordan Kuntz, the pole sitter. The man who kicked this race off in first has been waiting since the beginning of the night. He found himself all the way back to 14th and is now at long last within sight of the victory. Peyton Lindsay stays in third for now. It looks like Peyton has enough, maybe in the tank, to go for a top 3. Still contending with Gino Marrow. Marrow now washing away on the inside of the back straight. This has to be a heartbreaker for Marrow if it doesn't turn out his way. But he can't think about the won't and a negative. He has to keep focused on what's ahead of him. But right now, Ethan Burrell is clearing away with 8 laps to go. Peyton Lindsay going to get a little bit further up top side there. Jordan Kuntz, can he unleash what's left in that number 99? This is where Kuntz has to come alive here, putting everything to the test. 110% or nothing for victory now, and even though he's in 4th place, it's too far without putting maximum effort to win with this amount of time left. It'll be 7 laps to go next time around. Kuntz is going to have to pull with full aggression for a chance at the victory. Gino Marrow is going to get things moving as well. That time by looked to be ever so slightly quicker, at least in the second half of the lap, than Ethan Burrell. There's a chance now to maybe get a 1/10 of a second back per lap. At that rate, Gino would have a chance, but he's got to be perfect here and has to care a little bit less about burning up the tire. There's not enough time to shred the rubber. Gino's in second, Jordan Kuntz is in third, Ethan Burrell leads as the field comes across the line for now 6 laps remaining. Peyton Lindsay might have a chance to make this top 5 deal work, and what a job it would be if he sticks it for a first career top 5. We thought staying out would be a joke for this 97 team, but it looks like a net positive, the likes of which we couldn't have possibly expected. Lindsay's still there and hasn't given up fully. Maybe a chance to stay inside the top 10 even if the rest of the field starts to get through. Ethan Burrell now has a 1/4 of a second lead and then some on the top 3 drivers. There's Jordan Kuntz, though, looking to the bottom on Gino Marrow. Kuntz is looking for his first pass. He'd have to make one more for the win with 5 laps to go. Jordan Kuntz ducks down to the bottom. Gino Marrow, defense. He'll slide down to the inside himself. This is going to begin that back and forth. The last chance to make a move. The final opportunities for every driver. Kuntz doesn't want to waste his, nor does Marrow. They'll come across with 4 now remaining. Ethan Burrell still looking strong, still looking advantageous. If Gino Marrow and Jordan Kuntz continue to distract each other, we will see Burrell's second career victory. And Marrow will once again be the bridesmaid no matter how it turns out for second and third. Gino is still there. Hasn't been able to make a gain, though, and that's the problem. Coming across the line for 3 laps to go. A reminder, if we get to the white flag, the final lap, this race is official no matter what happens. So Gino cannot afford to wait any longer than this. It all comes down to last moments of this event. Number 71 machine is still ahead of Jordan Kuntz, but with 3 laps to go, turn on the jets or give it nothing else. That's the difference maker. Chimera Creatives, number 71, Gino Marrow, now in the hot seat. Cameron Chandler looking for his 3rd consecutive top 5 as a rookie. Talk about amazing. Talk about contact. A little bit further behind. Peyton Lindsay involved. Peyton Lindsay spinning. Caution is out. We are going to overtime. Lindsay involved with Braden Hunsicker. It looks like the miracle run for Peyton Lindsay comes to a disastrous close. Lindsay caught up in some trouble with just 3 laps remaining. Here's a look one more time. Sliding as Hunsicker gets away. And it begins just before we get to the start-finish line here. Hunsicker was on the bottom to begin with. Meanwhile, the number 97, Peyton Lindsay, was up top, forced in the wall and no place out. Lindsay ends up loose, slammed back into the front stretch wall, and that sends him around. Caution is out. Just a bad spot for both drivers. Braden kept it straight. Fortunately for Peyton Lindsay, that 97 came apart all at once. So, with overtime processions coming up live on FTN, we've got ourselves one more chance to head down to pit road. And it looks like most drivers will bail on it immediately. And a few will decide to head in. Cameron Chandler and Gino Marrow is going to be outside. But Matt Grab, Vinny Tigner, Cole Wilson decide to head down and in. Meanwhile, Burrell, Marrow, Kuntz, Casey, Van Pelt, Chris Brooks stay up and ahead. We'll be right back after brief messages from our associates here on FTN Live. You won't miss a thing. And as soon as we're back, we're going to return and explain our overtime procedure here in SNT. Our one and only attempt is coming up soon, so stay tuned on FTN. We'll return right after this.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
This is our one and only overtime attempt here in Atlanta, and it's our 3rd overtime attempt of the season. What happens is simple. If we get to the white flag, the caution will not fly. We will race to the checkered. If we have a yellow flag, a caution of any sort, the race ends immediately, and timing and scoring will already be decided upon. Ace25 in the chat room rooting for Gino Marrow to get the job done for his first career victory. This race could end at any moment from here. Keep that in mind. It's up to the mercy of the field. do or die stakes. It's been Gino Marrow's career race so far. Ethan Burrell has been right on his heels. Jordan Kuntz won the pole position. The rest of the field is here to play spoiler. Any one of them have a chance with only 2 more laps. iRacing official pace car ducks in. Ethan Burrell's got the shot in the arm on the bottom. He's your control car. Green flags out once again. We're already wiggling, but we stay straight. Ethan Burrell is up and away by about a car length and a half now over Jordan Kuntz. Not a good start for Gino Marrow. He's mired back to 5th. And the battle for the podium is on. Mac Grab heads down to the bottom. Mac Grab goes for P2. Now, another driver with no career victories is hot on Burrell's heels. 1 lap to go. Mac Grab versus Ethan Burrell. Mac heads down to the inside. The 53 all of a sudden, shot in the arm, goes right through the field. Vinny Tigner now to follow. Mac has not led a lap all day long, but all of a sudden, the 53 is up and ahead. He's been a quiet driver with very little to say other than he is a king of consistency. Tonight, as he comes out of turn number 4, he will be the king of Atlanta. Mac Grab wins his first career race in the most unexpected of victories. Grab wins in Atlanta. 1 lap led. The checkered flag is the only one that mattered. Vinny Tigner for second, 81 thousandths behind. Cameron Chandler for his second career podium in third. Can you believe it? An amazing green-white checker for the number 53. You can't take that away from him. He started in 12th tonight, and he wins against all odds. And getting used to burning that thing down, Mac Grab. What a way to win. An underdog of the night pulls through in the thick of it. Checkered flag is out. Grab wins. I think he's still trying to figure out how to get things going for a burnout here. New to victory lane, Mac Grab gets it done. 1 lap led today, up 11 in terms of positions, and he drove through the field with tenacity. He took 4 tires, and that was the race-winning decision. I think he's content now, parking it in the start-finish line. Nobody expected it, maybe not even the winner himself, but Mac Grab tears through the field and shows them who's boss, winning in Atlanta. Vinny Tigner comes away in second with Cameron Chandler third and Braden Hunsicker P4. Henry Kaloff, a major rebound in the night he needed it. He'll come away fifth with Cole Wilson P6, Ethan Burrell 7th, Peyton Lindsay 8th, Jordan Kuntz in 9th, and Gino Marrow then in 10th place. A lot of your more favorited drivers, shall we say, fell by the wayside in those last moments while the underdogs pursued the win. Further back on the field it goes as follows. 11th place, Curtis Sabarin, Carter Casey in 12th, James Bowden 13th, and Jackson Van Pelt in the 14th place. Matthew Weeks comes away in 5th anyway, and then you'll have Tyler Sevier 16th. Matthew Weeks is P15, the first driver 1 lap down, with Chris Brooks 17th, 18th in Mike Hill, 19th in Michael Deitch, Elijah Hoy in 20th place. And 21st from there, coming away is the driver of the number 21, of course, in position. Kenneth Gurrell. Matthew White, 22nd, and Matthew Rivera will be in 23rd, with Landon Benson 24th, Devontae Drain in 25th, and Daniel Silla 26th. Connor Asbell 27th, and last on the day, after being involved in that lap 1 wreck, ends the lineup for tonight. But of all the drivers of the day, one gets the job done, and he'll be the first that we speak to, Matt Grab in Atlanta. A round of applause for the man who beats the odds and wins here in Georgia. We haven't gotten a chance to speak to him so far this year, but I'm sure he's ecstatic as we bring him up now to the broadcast booth. What a green-white checkered run. 2 laps, and they were all yours, Mac. You lead 1 on the day. You lead the checkered flag.
Oh my god, dude, I can't believe it almost. It just means so much to me. This was the first league I ever joined, when I was just starting out. I was on iRacing for not even a week when I joined this, and I raced, my first race. And I think I finished like almost dead last in that first race, and I was like, you know what, I'm probably never gonna get up there, and that's okay. But man, I was just stunned tonight. I was working with a couple guys in the voice chat. We were all running, around somewhere from 5th to 15th the whole run, and I was gonna finish maybe like 6th, 7th, 8th, and caution came out. I was like, you know what? We're going to have to go with a gamble here on these last couple of restarts, and we took it, and I can't believe that it actually paid off. So it's unbelievable. It's hard to take in right now because I never thought that this was, this could have happened. So cool that this could have happened,
And for it to happen the way it did, I mean, first off, it was a solid race for you, as we've seen you consistently pulling away to the top 10 level. You had a lot of drivers you mentioned with you. How was it tonight for the majority of the race? Most of it was green, working with the rest of the field to kick things off.
It was, honestly, I actually enjoyed it a lot. I do like green flag runs a lot. I like saving my stuff. I was just pitting earlier. I was trying to split it around I think it was 35 and then 63, and then it was gonna give me probably the best strategy, best speed all around, and then yeah, the caution just completely threw that away. But man, that racing was a lot of fun before. So many different strategies being thrown everywhere, and I thought we were on a good enough one. It looked like we were gonna finish, with a decent, consistent spot, so I was gonna be happy with it. And then when the caution came out, I was just like, we got to do something, and I guess it was the right call.
And that's the move of the race. Going into pit road, taking those final sets of tires, and you didn't have much to lose there, but the way you pulled through the field, unstoppable. I mean, back and forth, going through. Vinny Tigner eventually got up to, but he was too late. Were you looking in that rearview mirror at all, or were you all about full steam ahead?
I was definitely on some both, for sure. I just have so much respect for Vinny, dude. I have so much respect for a lot of these guys. I race in a couple other leagues, and I race officials occasionally, not too much. And it seems like this league, these drivers are some of the most respected. They're just clean. They're great. They're great people, and they race like it too. So, yeah, I mean, it was so cool. Being not just being able to race these guys, but to be up at the front there at the end. And yeah, I was definitely looking out my rear mirror a little bit there when I saw Tidney get up there. I was like, oh no, what's he gonna do? But man, we were side by side for about in the middle of the race for maybe about like 20 laps. It was like we were together, and it was just I just have so much respect for the man. Race is so clean, dude, and it was nice that we could race that way until the checkered flag, and I'll definitely make sure to race them clean in the future.
And an amazing race to the checkered flag it was. Matt Grab, first career win, and some huge momentum maybe to get the rest of the season going here. Next on the schedule, for instance, we're going to go down to Dover. Either way, a huge win for you. I'm sure it is for your iRacing career. With that said, any final thoughts you'd like to leave us with before we head out for our next event?
I'm trying to think of something, but yeah, this is totally probably one of the biggest wins, if not the biggest win. I've had 4 before, and they've all gone to one league, and it's an alright league. It's okay. Definitely not as prestigious as this one. So this one's definitely the biggest one. This one, like I said, it just means so much more because of where I was at when I first started. I joined this and finished like dead last in my first race, so it just means so much to finally be sitting at the top after watching so many of these races and racing in them myself towards the rear a lot and slowly getting faster. It just means so much to finally be at the top. It's great. Love it.
It's an amazing effort and a great race to look back on. Mac Grab, checkered flag is yours tonight from Atlanta. If you have any additional shout outs, well, the time is yours now.
I mean, shout out to, all the people. I'm sorry, I'm a little sick right now, but yeah, shout out to just all the people in TCMC. They always help me out, I help with just little things, like brake bias, when you should pit, but it definitely all adds up in the long run, and it for sure helped tonight. Shout out to Cameron Chandler, who was with me the majority of the race, and I'm sure he's listening right now. He was one of those dudes that convinced me to go in on that final caution. So if it wasn't for him, I might have stayed out, and I would not have gotten anywhere close to probably even the podium. So just shout out to all of TCMC. This is a big win for us. And yeah, just awesome. Love it.
Mac Grab, win number 1 for your career, 1 lap led, and an amazing storm up in Atlanta. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Grab on the way, first career victory, always a special one for Vinny Tigner. He wasn't able to get to victory lane here, but he certainly put a good effort in, and much like Grab did, he went to pit road too. Tigner, the move to win this race was clear in pit road. You stuck to it, but you were just a little short. 81 thousandths was the difference. How was it out there?
Oh man, that was eventful. uh, yeah, I thought I had a chance there, and going against Mac there, but it was just a matter of trying to get through those cars that stayed out on old tires there, and he did the best, and yeah, the fact that I even had a shot at winning this thing was amazing. The start of this race, I got caught up on the initial wreck there on the initial start of the race, and I got tossed around, hit the wall, and I didn't even take the fast repair. I ended up forgetting to click it. So when we restarted, I still had damage. So I was just struggling back there, and made the best of it, honestly, and short pitted, um, and stuck to my plan on that, and it worked. I mean, I got track position. I gained at least 12 to 14 spots just doing that, and hung on, and then finally got the fast repair done, and was able to. I was probably going to score easily top 10 tonight. I think 7th or 8th there before that yellow fell. So um, I was going to be happy with that, and I'm even happier now.
Yeah, Vinny, it was the tale of 2 races. You mentioned the first caution, and then we went 100 plus without any interruption. And we saw, even though you didn't have the best of starts with that first wreck, you made your way back up to the top 10 conversation at times. How was it for you managing the strategy? We saw 30 lap runs, and a little bit shorter than what we usually see here in Atlanta. I thought for one that was interesting.
Yeah. Going into this weekend, I wanted to do something different, different fuel load. Normally we run 100%, and I told Carter, I said, we got to try something different here, spice things up, track position and or strategies and everything. And we went with 60%, and I thought it made things interesting tonight. So very pleased with that, and yeah, like you said, that long green flag run, man, am I happy to see that. I didn't expect it. I mean, the way it started, I was like, oh no, here we go. And because this track is very tough to drive on. And but man, these guys did a hell of a job tonight. I'm super, super happy with the group of guys that we have. And yeah, I know that yellow fell right at the end there, and it kind of sucks, for those guys that got caught up in it. I know Matthew got caught up in it. And then obviously it hurt the guys um, that stayed out there on that final restart. But hey, it's part of racing. So some days it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. So went my way tonight, and happy about that.
Bring yourself back up to the podium. Another great finish and your best so far of the season. Up next, it's going to be Dover for 150 laps. So another different type of track. We've been really visiting all sorts of them. Nothing really consistent so far this season, but that's been a good thing, giving us some exciting racing. Maybe a chance for a second podium on the campaign.
Let's hope. I don't have too much experience at Dover. I think I've done 1 or 2 races in the last handful of years with the Xfinity car there, and but yeah, I mean, I'm up for it. I think Dover is very exciting. It's very challenging, but it's also very exciting, especially when you can get around there very good. So I'm hoping for the best next week. Let's see what happens.
Well, with that said, Vinny Tigner getting back up to P2, just a few thousandths off the race victory. If you have any final comments, the floor is yours.
Thank you for calling the races. I really appreciate that. And like I said before, thanks to these guys for coming out tonight and putting on a hell of a show. That was really cool. So thank you.
Vinny Tigner, P2 on the day here in Atlanta. Thank you again for your time.
Hey, thank you.
Vinny on the move, one last driver to speak to. Cameron Chandler keeping the good times rolling, and the rookie can't keep himself away from the podium. It's a third consecutive run inside the top 5, Cameron, and you're back in the top 3. You look strong early. You sort of fizzled out during the middle, admittedly. You were still quick, but you weren't immediately up there. But this final work up through the field, that's all you needed to stay in P3 to end it.
Yeah, honestly, I'm surprised we were able to get up there. I felt we were fast at first in the first half when we got side by side with someone. I don't really remember who it was, but fell back through the field, kind of killed the tires, short pitted, and really that was just a strategy from there. Just hope we had the fresher tires to stay ahead, and clearly that didn't work. But thankfully we had those 2 cautions, and it kind of saved the day for us.
Everything going well with those last cautions. You mentioned that you were in the long-term run, maybe off cycle. It's your first time here in Atlanta where we saw 100+ laps. So how was it for you to deal with so many laps under green with green flag strategy? I'm sure maybe something you're not all too used to.
Yeah, a little hard to be consistent, really. There would be some runs I'll be trying to push around the top, kill the tires, and that's what I think allowed some guys like Jordan, I don't know who else was behind us then, but allowed them to get by us. And then on other runs, we would save tires better and be able to stay ahead. So, yeah, definitely something we're going to have to work on next week going into Dover.
That's something to keep our eyes on. Dover, again, you've been so strong as you kick off this season, and of all the rookies, you're currently topping them in the championship standings. How do you feel about your chances to keep the good runs going next week?
Yeah, really excited to go there. That's my home track. I grew up going there, so I feel like it's one of my better tracks too. So I think if we're gonna win anywhere, that's probably gonna be where it is.
We'll have to watch out then. The number 88 strong already, but next week home track bound. Nevertheless, tonight, Cameron, if you have any final comments or shout outs you'd like to give, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, once again, thank you TCMC. And congrats to Mac on the win. He's been struggling for quite a while on some other things, getting screwed over by things out of his control. So good to see him get one here.
Cameron Chandler, P3 on the day, 11 laps led, and coming from the front to the back to the front again. Thank you for stopping by.
Yep, thank you.
With Chandler on the move, Cameron comes away with a P3 finish. Vinny Tigner gonna find himself second on the order, and he is only 81 thousandths of a second off as Mac Grab gets it done. It's Mac's first career victory, and it's something we may have not expected, but he proved everyone wrong, maybe even proven himself. With that said, the checkered flag will fall tonight in Atlanta, and we'll move forth to our next event. That's coming on Saturday night, and it's going to be an exciting one, so stay tuned for what's up next in SNT in Dover. FTN anyway, our next broadcast will be tomorrow afternoon. Cody Smith is hosting the South Tona 250, a 250+ mile event with the NASCAR Xfinity Series cars at the virtual Daytona International Speedway. We'd love to see you there and can't wait for an amazing turnout of drivers going more than 180 miles an hour at the Daytona International Speedway. For tonight, however, you've been watching coverage from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway of Saturday Night Thunder. It's our 4th race of the 2025 campaign, and I've been your host, commentator, and producer, David Kreutz. Thank you for tuning in live on FTN. If you've enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is always greatly appreciated. We hope to see you for tomorrow's coverage of the South Tona 250 and for next week's coverage from the virtual Dover Motor Speedway here in SNT. Thank you for tuning in. Congratulations to race winner Mac Grab in his first race winning effort. We hope you have a fantastic night.